On my first day at my new marketing job, I promised myself I would make a good impression. After 3 years of freelancing and months of searching, landing a position at Heartwell Creative felt like the fresh start I desperately needed. My husband, Daniel, had hugged me that morning, kissed my forehead, and said, "Go show them why they were lucky to hire you." His smile stayed with me as I walked through the bright office. The HR manager introduced me to everyone. Most people welcomed me warmly, joking about the coffee machine that worked only when it felt like it. By noon, I already remembered half the names. Then I reached the last desk. A cheerful woman in her early 30s stood up with a grin. "Hi, I'm Melissa. You'll be working with me." As I smiled back, something on her desk caught my eye. A framed photograph. My heart stopped. It was Daniel, my husband. He was wearing the same navy blue suit he had worn to our anniversary dinner 6 months ago. In the photo, he had one arm around Melissa's shoulders while she leaned comfortably against him. I felt the blood drain from my face. Every terrible possibility rushed into my mind. Was he cheating? Had my marriage been a lie? I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab the picture and demand an explanation. Instead, I took a slow breath. I kept my voice calm. "That's a nice picture," I said casually. "Who's the guy?" Melissa looked at the frame and smiled. "Oh, that's my favorite person in the world." My stomach tightened. She continued before I could speak. "My big brother." I blinked. "Your brother?" "Yeah, Daniel." Now it was my turn to stare. "My husband is Daniel." Melissa laughed politely. "There are lots of Daniels." I slowly pulled out my phone. "I think we might be talking about the same one." I opened my lock screen. Her smile froze. She looked from my phone to the picture on her desk, then back again. "No way." She grabbed the frame. "Oh my goodness." For a long second, neither of us spoke. Finally, she whispered, "You're Emma?" I nodded carefully. "How do you know my name?" Melissa suddenly covered her mouth. "I cannot believe this." "What?" "My brother talks about you constantly." Now I was completely confused. "He does. Every family dinner." She laughed through happy tears. "You're the mysterious Emma." I frowned. "Mysterious?" "He always says. My wife hates being the center of attention, so I'm waiting until she's comfortable before introducing her to everyone." I stared at her. Daniel had mentioned having a younger sister years ago, but they had been estranged after a disagreement over their late father's business. He rarely spoke about it because it hurt too much. I remembered asking once if he ever missed her. His answer had been simple. Every single day. Melissa looked equally emotional. "I haven't spoken to Daniel in almost 4 years. What happened?" "Our father died." She sighed. "The lawyers twisted everything. We argued over the company, said awful things to each other, and stopped calling." She smiled sadly. "I've wanted to fix it 1,000 times." I swallowed. "He feels exactly the same." Her eyes widened. "He does. He just never knew how to reach out." Melissa slowly sat down. "I almost called him last Christmas." "He almost called you too." She laughed in disbelief. "Seriously?" "Seriously." For the rest of lunch, we compared stories. She showed me childhood photos. Daniel missing his front teeth. Daniel falling off a bicycle. Daniel proudly holding a fish twice his size. I laughed harder than I had in weeks. "He still tells that fishing story," I admitted. "I know," Melissa groaned. "He caught one fish 20 years ago and thinks he's a professional." By the afternoon, work hardly mattered. We had discovered something much bigger. Before leaving the office, Melissa looked nervous. "Would it be weird if I came over tonight?" I smiled. "I think someone would be very happy to see you." She hesitated. "What if he's still angry? I've lived with him for 5 years." I smiled warmly. "I don't think anger is what's waiting." That evening, I didn't tell Daniel anything. When the doorbell rang, he walked toward it without suspicion. He opened the door. Everything stopped. His eyes widened. Melissa stood there holding the old framed photograph. Neither of them spoke. For a few endless seconds, they simply stared. Then Daniel whispered, "Missy." She nodded. "Hi, big brother." He crossed the doorway in 2 steps and hugged her so tightly that she nearly dropped the picture. Both of them cried. Years of silence disappeared without another word. I quietly stepped back into the kitchen, giving them space. I could hear laughter between tears. Old memories. Apologies. Forgiveness. Hours later, Melissa joined me while Daniel searched for old photo albums. She smiled. "You know what? I thought today I'd be training the new employee." I laughed. Instead, she looked toward the living room where her brother was laughing for the first time in years. "Instead, you brought my family back." I shook my head. No. I smiled softly. I just asked one simple question instead of making one terrible assumption. Sometimes a calm question reveals a truth that anger never could. And on what I thought would be the most shocking first day of my career, I didn't uncover my husband's betrayal. I helped reunite a family that had been waiting years for someone brave enough to ask, "Who's the guy in the photo?"